On a crisp January morning in 2025, Ashok and Meenakshi Valmiki set out from their small Madhya Pradesh town for the Mahakumbh Mela in Prayagraj. The air was thick with anticipation and the faint chill of winter as the couple, bundled in layers, made their way to the railway platform. The Mahakumbh Mela, held only once every 12 years, was a rare and sacred opportunity, one that Meenakshi had dreamed of attending for years. For her, this journey was more than a religious obligation. It was a chance to seek blessings, to wash away old sorrows, and to pray for a brighter future for her family. Meenakshi, devout and hopeful, saw this pilgrimage as a chance to pray for her family's well-being. She spent days preparing, carefully packing offerings, prayer beads, and a small bottle of holy water. Her heart brimmed with hope, believing that the sacred river would grant her the peace and happiness she longed for. Ashok, her husband of 20 years, played the part of the supportive partner, helping her pack and plan. He double-checked the tickets, made sure their bags were secure, and reassured Meenakshi that everything would go smoothly. To anyone watching, he was the picture of a caring husband, attentive and reliable. Their sons, Rahul and Samir, waved them off, proud and trusting. The boys, on the cusp of adulthood, felt a mix of pride and nervousness as they watched their parents leave for such an important journey. They believed their parents' bond was unbreakable, rooted in faith and mutual respect. To outsiders, the couple seemed united in faith and purpose. Their shared smiles and gentle gestures painted a picture of harmony, as if nothing could disturb the peace between them. Friends and neighbors admired their devotion, seeing them as an example of marital strength. But beneath Ashok's calm exterior, a sinister plan was taking shape, one that Meenakshi could never have imagined. While he smiled and nodded, his mind churned with thoughts he dared not share. The journey for him was not about faith or family, but about a secret he had guarded for months. As the train rolled towards Prayagraj, Meenakshi chatted about rituals and blessings, unaware of the darkness in her husband's heart. She spoke of the holy dip in the Sangam, the prayers she would offer, and the hopes she carried for their sons' futures. Her excitement was infectious, filling the compartment with warmth. Ashok smiled and nodded, but his mind was elsewhere, rehearsing a final act of betrayal. Every word from Meenakshi seemed to echo in his mind, reminding him of the trust she placed in him and the secret he was about to unleash. Every gesture of affection was a calculated step towards an unthinkable end. Ashok's gentle touch, his reassuring words, all masked the storm brewing within him. The closer they drew to Prayagraj, the heavier his secret became. For Ashok, this holy journey was a cover for something far from sacred. As the train sped towards its destination, the line between devotion and deception blurred, setting the stage for a revelation that would change everything. Prayagraj during the Mahakumbh transforms into a city of millions, a swirling mass of faith, chaos, and anonymity. Ashok and Meenakshi were swept into the crowds, the air alive with chants and bells. Meenakshi found beauty in the devotion around her, eager to attend the sacred Shahi Snan and pray at the river. Ashok, however, saw opportunity in the confusion, a perfect place to disappear without a trace. He played the devoted husband, blending in, holding her hand, and following her plans. But in his mind, the chaos was a shield for his intentions. He knew that in this sea of faces, a person could vanish and no one would notice. The Mahakumbh scale was his ally. Ashok was counting on the festival's confusion to hide a crime he had meticulously planned. On the day Meenakshi vanished, the festival was at its peak. The air was thick with the scent of incense and the sound of thousands of voices chanting, bells ringing, and the river shimmering under the midday sun. Pilgrims from every corner of the country had gathered, their hopes and prayers mingling in the humid air, creating a sense of both chaos and devotion. Ashok suggested they visit a quieter ghat for their holy dip, away from the crowds. He said the solitude would make the ritual more meaningful, a private moment between them and the sacred river, far from the pressing throngs. Meenakshi, trusting, agreed, her red sari bright against the riverbank. The color was striking, a vivid splash of life against the muted tones of sand and water, as if she herself was a part of the festival's spirit. Ashok left her waiting, promising to return with prasad. He smiled reassuringly, disappearing into the maze of festival stalls, leaving Meenakshi alone with the river's gentle murmur and the distant hum of celebration. Minutes turned to hours. The sun set, and Ashok never came back. The sky shifted from gold to deep indigo, and the once busy Ghat grew eerily silent, shadows stretching across the empty steps. Meenakshi's worry grew into dread as she searched for him, her calls lost in the noise. She moved from group to group, her voice trembling, but no one seemed to notice her distress amid the festival's frenzy. No one saw or heard anything unusual, just a woman waiting, then gone. The crowd flowed around the empty space she left behind, oblivious to the quiet tragedy unfolding at the river's edge. The only trace left was her red sari on the sand. It fluttered in the evening breeze, half buried, as if trying to tell a story no one could hear. Meenakshi had vanished without a sound, swallowed by the vastness of the Kumbh. The festival continued, unaware, as if nothing had happened. The riverbank now just another silent witness to her disappearance. There was no struggle, no witness, just a sudden chilling absence. It was as if the earth itself had opened up and taken her, leaving behind only questions and a haunting sense of loss. The holy riverbank became the stage for a cruel magic trick. In a place where miracles were believed to happen, Meenakshi's disappearance felt like a dark inversion of faith, a miracle gone wrong. In a place meant for spiritual rebirth, Meenakshi disappeared into darkness. The river, which had witnessed countless stories of hope and redemption, now held a secret it would never reveal. The vanishing act was complete. All that remained was silence, the memory of a red sari, and the unanswered question: how can someone simply disappear in the midst of so many? Hours later, Ashok appeared at a lost and found camp, frantic and distraught. He claimed he'd lost Meenakshi in the crowd, his story convincing and emotional. Volunteers sprang into action, broadcasting her details and searching the festival grounds. Back home, Rahul and Samir were devastated by the news, clinging to hope. Ashok played the grieving husband, showing her photo, weeping and pleading for help. No one suspected him. He was just another desperate man in the chaos. Days passed with no sign of Meenakshi. Announcements echoed across the Mela, but hope faded. The family's despair deepened as Ashok continued his charade. Rahul and Samir called daily, desperate for news. Ashok repeated the same reassurances, hiding the truth. The search became a ritual of heartbreak, with Ashok at its center. A week later, sanitation workers found a woman's body downstream, tangled in reeds and debris. The police retrieved the decomposed body, noting marks on the neck, evidence of violence, not accident. The victim was unidentified, another Jane Doe in the chaos of the Kumbh. Investigators sifted through missing person reports, searching for a match. The only clues: a faded sari and a hand-knitted woolen scarf. News of the discovery spread, a grim reminder of the festival's hidden dangers. For most, it was a distant tragedy. For the police, a murder investigation had begun. They had no idea the grieving husband was the killer. The river had given up its secret, but the truth was still hidden. The police released a public appeal, sharing every detail they could. Among the evidence, a woman's lifeless body and a distinctive hand-knitted woolen scarf. The scarf, vibrant and unmistakable, stood out on the evidence table, its colors a stark contrast to the grim reality of the crime scene. Officers hoped someone would recognize it, that it might be the key to unlocking the victim's identity and bringing answers to a grieving family. It was Ashok's relative who first saw the news and felt a jolt of recognition. The scarf was Meenakshi's, her favorite, lovingly knitted by her own hands. The family was immediately alerted, their hearts pounding with dread and disbelief as they clung to the hope that it might be a mistake. Meenakshi's son, Rahul, wasted no time. He boarded the earliest train to Prayagraj, his mind racing with memories and fears. The journey felt endless, each passing station a reminder of the uncertainty that awaited him. At the morgue, Rahul was handed the scarf. The familiar texture and colors brought a flood of childhood memories. His mother's gentle hands, her laughter, the warmth of her embrace. But now, the scarf was a symbol of loss. Overcome with grief, Rahul broke down, the reality of his mother's fate shattering him completely. The family's worst fears were confirmed. Meenakshi was gone, her life stolen in a senseless act of violence. The news rippled through their home, leaving devastation in its wake. Tears flowed freely as relatives tried to comfort one another, but nothing could fill the void left by her absence. Grief settled over the family like a heavy fog. In the sterile corridors of the hospital, hope faded away, replaced by a silence that spoke of heartbreak and shattered dreams. The loss was immeasurable, and the pain unbearable. As the family mourned, the police intensified their investigation. Suspicion began to swirl around Ashok, Meenakshi's husband. Detectives revisited his statements, searching for inconsistencies and hidden truths. Ashok's account of losing Meenakshi in a crowded festival didn't align with the location where her body was found. The timeline and geography simply didn't add up, raising more questions than answers. The investigation hit a turning point. The pieces of Ashok's story no longer fit together, and detectives sensed that something crucial was being concealed. With mounting suspicion, investigators began to focus on the person closest to Meenakshi, the one who should have protected her but now seemed to be hiding secrets. The investigation shifted away from the chaos of the festival crowd and into the private world of a husband whose story was unraveling. The truth was closing in, and the walls were beginning to close around Ashok. In the end, it was the scarf, Meenakshi's final gift to her family, that became the thread unraveling Ashok's web of lies, bringing the truth to light. Police interrogated Ashok, now a suspect, not a grieving husband. His story unraveled under scrutiny. Locations didn't match, timelines shifted. Investigators dug into his life and uncovered a long-term affair. Motive emerged: pressure from his mistress to leave Meenakshi. The murder was no random act, but a calculated plan. Confronted with evidence, Ashok broke down and confessed. He admitted the pilgrimage was a cover for murder. He lured Meenakshi to a secluded spot, argued, then strangled her with her own scarf. He pushed her body into the river, believing the chaos would hide his crime. The mask of the devoted husband was gone. The truth was as chilling as it was tragic. Ashok's confession revealed years of deceit, a double life, a long-standing affair, and mounting pressure from his mistress. Instead of honesty or divorce, he chose violence, meticulously planning the murder at the Mahakumbh for its anonymity. He manipulated Meenakshi's faith, turning her pilgrimage into a death trap. His actions were cold, calculated, and devoid of empathy. Ashok rationalized his crime, convincing himself it was the only way. The betrayal extended beyond his wife, to his sons, his family, and the very idea of trust. He chose selfishness over love, leaving a legacy of pain. The tragedy would haunt his family for generations. Ashok's guilt shattered his family. Rahul and Samir lost both parents in one act of betrayal. The community was stunned, trust was broken, and the family's name tainted. The children faced stigma and sorrow, their world reduced to ruins. The case exposed the darkness that can hide behind a familiar face. Meenakshi's trust was her undoing, exploited by the man she loved. The story is a warning. Danger can come from those closest to us. No ritual or holy water can cleanse a corrupted heart. Ashok will face justice, but the scars on his children are permanent. Meenakshi's memory lingers, a devout woman betrayed at the holiest of places. The greatest sin was not against faith, but against love and trust itself.